Welcome to another Euro dollar update. Okay, so last night's NFPs, well, last night here in Australia, I did put a short trade idea out for the euro. Basically, if we broke the low, we'd go lower, but it never happened. Now, the reason I did that was because I said, okay, so if all these people who are bearish the US dollar, right, that means that euro has to do something in particular in order for it to go higher, right? It has to do something in particular. Now, what is that? So for this to answer this question, I need to go to the daily chart, right? Now, this particular thing challenges my entire view of the euro. If it's right. But if it's wrong, then this is the thing to disprove it. Okay, so just say, for example, that the euro is in a bull market right now, and this thing is just going to correct a little more before it goes higher, right? That would be probably the bearish case for the US dollar, right? Which means these patterns are all wrong, and basically this would be like an A wave, and then we're looking for a B wave, something like that, and then maybe a C, whatever, right? But the only way we're going to reach that kind of conclusion is if this move here, right, is a zigzag. Now, if you're aware of AriasWave, zigzags, they're not quite straightforward as you may think, right? The corrective part of a zigzag isn't just a zigzag, right? Like this here. It actually involves other pieces to the puzzle. Now, if that was the case, right, I'll just zoom into the daily. If that was the case, then this would be A, B, C, D, E, right? Something like that. And as you know, my view of this current move up is an ending diagonal, all right, heading for the top of the channel. So for me to do like a contrarian view on this whole thing, I would be looking at this as an A, B, C, D, E, which is where that idea came from, which means that the move that would have happened, continuation of the downturn, yes, like in the euro recently, would have had to keep going lower in order to make it a 5-wave move to finish off a correction, which would have then led to further strength in the euro, right? But it never happened, right? Now, I don't pick bottoms, right? Even though I had an idea that this was going to go up, given the way that the pattern was looking down the bottom. To me, I can't put ideas out on picking bottoms. I just can't do it. I just think it's irresponsible, and it's really not in line with AriasWave. But I said, interesting, because I'm listening to a couple of people who were pretty knowledgeable, macro FX traders, right? And I'm saying, okay, if you're right, then let's see. Let's put a short trade idea out, so then I'm covering all bases, right? But what happened was that it turned around. So what is this? This is not a 5-wave move coming down here. This is not going to happen, right? Because this is an ending diagonal, and if it was going to be something other than an ending diagonal, like what I just said, we would have seen a continuation to the downside to produce an E wave, right? Now, this could still change, okay? This particular view, there is a possibility that it could change, and that means that this whole move could be an ending diagonal, right? Which means there'll be one zigzag, another zigzag, another zigzag, right? And then perhaps we'd see that kind of thing happen, right? it's like a turning point, right? It's one of those points on the chart where, the waves confirm the trend or confirm price action, which makes you look back and review your previous waves, right? And if that was the case, then I suppose this would be fitting in line with like a gold prediction, right? For what I mean by that is the long-term view itself might be that, how can I explain this? Right, I'd have to get another chart up on the side here to do this on the fly because there's just a few points I need to clarify first. My point being is that if this is an expanding zigzag to the upside, one that is bearish for the US dollar, then we'd have to see certain waves in the beginning here, right? Now, as you know, you can go further back on external websites to look at data. And obviously, a lot of this stuff isn't very clear. But, just looking at this thing now, it doesn't look like it's even possible, which is why I probably never considered it in the past. So it's hard for me to have that kind of view right now, right? To me, it doesn't line up. It doesn't fit well. But if I had to play devil's advocate for the sake of just playing devil's advocate, right? And, maybe I'm looking at something wrong, okay, which I'm always open to the possibility that I'm looking at something wrong. And basically what we're looking at here is a long-term zigzag that's still sort of unfolding, right? That's going to do this sort of thing, right? Then we'd have to basically wait and see what happens in the euro over the next few months, right? Over the next few months. Okay, so what else can I say? Because at the moment, all I can see, and another reason why I also had that idea on is because this wave looks small compared to this wave here, right? This wave looks small, so that's a smaller wave than that, right? So to me, it's a little bit iffy. It's a little bit iffy. Could this be a wave 1 or an A? Could this be the start of wave 3 or a C? Well, it's shorter, unless it was from here, and then maybe it's still shorter, right? It's very hard to sort of it's very hard to just turn that way. Okay. So for me, it's a wait and see on this one. Trading the correction is not always wise, especially when you're at a turning point like this, where it could potentially signal future price action and change the whole view, right? Because don't forget, fractal patterns, they repeat at all levels of trend, right? As I've mentioned many times before, fractal patterns are basically zigzags and 5-wave moves all stuffed together, and they make particular patterns, right? So it doesn't mean that you can't trade them. Absolutely does not mean that at all. It just means that you got to look out for certain waves to happen first in order to expect a particular wave after, right? That's why I call it objective. A lot of people don't understand AriasWave, so they try to like comment, oh, it's not objective, right? But they have no idea what I mean by objective. Objective, when I say objective, it means that there are certain patterns that AriasWave has in its corrective set of patterns, which you obviously have to learn it first in order to understand it. And those are the patterns that you would expect to happen at certain points in time in order to understand the overall pattern, right? So even if we're in a situation now where this is just a CDE pattern, right? It looks like a zigzag. It smells like a zigzag, but is it a zigzag, right? We're only going to know 100% once we see the rest of this correction that I just showed you at the small degree unfold. And at that point, it's still going to be up, but we're going to know how high, right? We're going to know what kind of pattern, right? It's going to determine whether or not we're going to see just a zigzag occur to end the ending diagonal, or we're going to see one of these kind of moves up. Now that's a big deal, right? That makes a world of a difference, right? It basically changes your whole outlook, because not only does it change it for this pattern, it also changes it for what comes after that. So this is why it's important to understand the waves the way that I teach them, not just because I have a program and you can go and buy it and blah, blah, right? So whatever to that thesis, to me, it's just about understanding what comes next, right? Without using an indicator. Now, I'm not saying you can't use indicators as well. I'm just saying that first and foremost, you'd want to be knowing the pattern first before you apply other things to the chart. Okay, so as you know, as per my short trade ideas, if you're not triggered in, do not take the trade, right? It's just one of those things that you have to understand. Do not take the trade. So right now, I would not trade this at all, because we don't know what's coming. We need to see evidence of a correction first before attempting anything else. But, you know, at this point, it looks like a bottom would be in place. If you go to the weekly chart, right? Let's stretch it out. Or should I say, sorry, daily? Right, that's obviously, you know, that's a bullish engulfing pattern, right? It's engulfed the previous candle. So obviously it's going to move higher, right? But how high, right? How high? So that's what we got to wait for. And obviously I'll track it now that I'm seeing at least the first pattern in this move, right? I couldn't comment on this earlier because we hadn't seen any kind of pattern happen, but now we've seen at least a zigzag in place, because I really don't think it's going to be anything else, to be honest. Even though the C wave is shorter, it just doesn't look like it's going to happen, right? So, and also I also drew this line in there just to show you that there is basically a rejection of the lows using this channel, right? Which happened. So hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you for watching.